Welcome to Bab Learning Center, demystifying science, your home of science excellency, curiosity, and growth. My name is Bab Learning, a biology and chemistry educator, passionate about making learning easy, exciting, and accessible to all. In today's lesson, we dive into the world of genetics, a field that explains why we look the way we do, why organisms inherit traits, and how life continues from one generation to the next. Stay with me as we explore the secrets of inheritance and unveil the beauty of biology in real life. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp at 0770976974 or email us at bablearningcenter@gmail.com. Introduction to genetics. Genetics is a scientific study of heredity and variation among organisms. It is a branch of science that accounts for the occurrence of similarities and differences among organisms of the same species, as well as explaining how traits are transmitted to offspring from their parents. Inheritance refers to the process by which characteristics or traits are passed from parents to offspring. Heredity is the transmission of characteristics from parents to offspring. At times, offspring are referred to as the progeny. Such characters are also called traits. In humans, characters like hair texture, height, skin color, body build, and hair color are inheritable characters. Importance of genetics. It is applied in genetic engineering to produce better breeds and varieties of plants and animals by altering their genetic constitution. Genetic constitution of an organism is its DNA. It is important in courts of law to determine the paternity of the child. Genetics forms the basis of blood transfusion to determine compatible blood groups. Genetic counseling is important in preventing transmission of genetically determined diseases among married couples. This will help to relieve the families and the community of the costs on treatment, as well as the suffering of the sick and their families. It can be used in identification of criminals by use of fingerprints and DNA profiling. It is used in molecular biology to manufacture artificial enzymes, hormones, and vaccines by manipulating responsive genes from organisms. Forms a basis of cloning to increase the number of genetically important plants and animals. We look at the glossary of genetics. Terms used in genetic study. A gene. A gene is a basic unit of inheritance, or it is a section of chromosomes, and particularly the part of the DNA molecule that controls a specific characteristic. A chromosome is a thread-like structure found in the nucleus of a cell in which genes are carried. Alleles are alternative forms of the same genes. For example, capital T and lowercase t, capital A and lowercase a. A dominant allele is the one that is fully expressed in the phenotype, even in the presence of a recessive allele. It is symbolized by a capital letter, often the first letter of the word for which it stands. For example, capital TT for tallness, capital BB for brownness. Capital SS, small sized body. These letters, they represent their specific alleles for particular traits or characteristics. For example, TT, it represents hate as a characteristic. And capital T represents a dominant allele. A recessive allele is the one that is completely masked or not seen in presence of a dominant gene and only seen in the presence of another recessive gene. It is represented with the same letter to dominant but in small letter. For example, lowercase t represents shortness. Small b for brownness. SS, small sized body. A homozygous is a condition where an individual has a pair of the same allele, i.e., capital BB and or small bb. The individual is referred to as a homozygote. This condition may be in either dominant or recessive state. A heterozygous is a condition where an individual has a pair of different alleles. For example, has a dominant allele represented by capital letter B and a recessive allele which is represented by capital letter by small letter b. The individual is known as heterozygote. Diploid refers to the sets of homologous chromosomes. It is represented by 2n, where n is equal to 33 chromosomes, and by simple mathematics, 2 times 23 is equal to 46. A diploid individual consists of 46 chromosomes in humans. All body cell or autosomes are diploid. Haploid is a one set of homologous chromosomes. It is represented by n, e.g. in man, n is equal to 23, as earlier said. All sex cells are haploid. Ploide, the number of complete sets of chromosomes present in the nucleus of a cell of an organism. Locus, this is the point on a chromosome where a gene or allele is located. A cross is a deliberate mating of two individuals in genetic experiment. For example, deliberate mating between a male and a female Drosophila. A test cross is selfing of the offspring with a recessive parent for the character or trait. A back cross is a selfing between an offspring and one of its parents. Multiple alleles are many forms of the same gene. Variation refers to differences between organisms of the same species. Reciprocal cross. This is a cross in which the genotype of the parents have been reversed. Hereditary characters are those that are carried on the Y chromosome, such as the presence of the hair in the ears. Originally, the Y chromosomes was considered or was thought to be empty but recently it has been found to carry a characteristic such as hair in the ears and size of the testes. Sickle-cell anemia is a situation whereby an individual possesses over 60% genes for sickle cell anemia and suffers from the disease. For example, individual homozygous to this condition a monohybrid cross is a genetic cross where only one gene or trait is being studied. P stands for the parental generation, while F1 and F2 stand for the first filial generation. And the second filial generation, the grandchild. Each parent can give one chromosome of each pair, therefore, one allele for each trait to the offspring. Thus, when figuring out what kind of gametes an individual can produce, it is necessary to choose one of the two alleles for each gene, which presents no problem if they are the same. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, and share to your friend such that we can benefit as a family. I remain Bab.